I think that we are on the cusp of seeing Xbox Game Studios potentially get another Publisher of the Year nod. And I guess you can call it Xbox, you can call it Microsoft, however you want to play it, because again, there's Activision is separate, Bethesda is separate, Xbox Game Studios is separate. But I think they have done enough. Now, granted, I think the one company that gives them a run for their money, and I wouldn't even be mad if they won it because I want to see them win, is Sega. Sega has had a banger of a freaking year with Persona 3, the remake. They've had the Yakuza series that came out that's doing really well. Metaphor, I mean, what can I say? It was my game of the year until Indiana Jones. They have had a banger of a year. But when you look at Xbox, folks, and please, folks, get involved. Let me know what you think. Sega for the win or Xbox for the win? Because Xbox, they have Call of Duty, they got Hellblade, they got Flight Sim. Obviously, they helped out Stalker 2, which currently is an exclusive on the brand. Obviously, Indiana Jones. They had Aura come out. There was a couple of the other RTS ones that just slipping my mind. They've had quite a few of really, really good releases. And I know that we all want the every 3 months thing. I think we get that next year, Fuzzy. But I don't think there's any denying that a Publisher of the Year award might be coming the way of Xbox this year.
I say hands down, if they're going to include Activision and Bethesda under the same tent, absolutely. There's no question on that. Like, as many bangers as Sega has had this year, I think when you start looking at what Bethesda did, what Activision did, and what Xbox Studios did as a whole, not just new titles, but also the support for existing titles, I think that solidifies their, Publisher of the Year. But some people are going to want to count Activision separate and Bethesda separate. Me personally, I think it falls under the same umbrella. The checks are still coming from Microsoft, even though they're kind of run independently, but they're still answering to Microsoft. So it should fall under the same umbrella as far as I'm concerned. But hands down, even when you look at them individually, like Call of Duty had one of its biggest years, and then you had like the update for Diablo 4 with the Vessel of Hatred. And that's a big expansion. Maybe it's not like an, was it Earn Tree or L Tree or whatever kind of thing. But it's still a big expansion that garnered a lot of the player base. It's got some stiff competition from PoE 2 now, but overall, I think on Activision side, those two right there did wonders for this year for Activision and Blizzard as a whole. Bethesda had its Starfield DLC this year with Shattered Space, as well as Indiana Jones, which we're all enjoying right now. They did a bang-up job, and they're still continuing to support Fallout 76 when I know a lot of people are like, oh, just cancel it, forget about it, leave it for dead. No, they've built on it, and they've actually delivered, like I think it was the pet expansion and more base building stuff that people have been asking for. And they've had some like cross transmedia type of stuff that they've added between both Fallout 4 with some of the outfits in like the mod store, and the same thing with 76 with, I think they had a couple of character storyline quests and things like that relate to the TV series. So Bethesda's been doing a bang up job this year as well. And then you have with the RTSs, what is it? Aura, as well as I think it was I can't remember the name of it, but Age of
Empires.
Yeah, they've had those two released. They've had Flight Sim 2024 release, which if you didn't think they could go any better on graphics with the original Flight Sim, they definitely stepped it up a good bit with 2024. Hellblade definitely entered in the year with a little bit later than I guess people were hoping for, but all in all, I enjoyed every minute of it, and I enjoyed the combat of it even more so. And then it's this year, I think, for Xbox as a whole, like as much as people want to worry about, okay, they're putting games on other platforms and such, which, all right, I get it. They're moving beyond the console. They're not abandoning the console. They're moving beyond, so that way they don't have to just monetize on us. They can find, customers on PC. They can find customers on mobile. They can find customers that might be using a browser or using it through their TV or through their Oculus, or not Oculus Rift, but like their MetaQuest 3 and stuff. So there's so many options that they have to reach gamers now that honestly, I think they deserve the Publisher of the Year for the amount of games, the quality of the games they put out. Sega did do a bang up job this year. Who knows? Maybe sometime soon they might be part of the same family. But until then, I would say Microsoft as a whole gets it. But if people are destined to separate them, oh well, those are separate publishers, even though the check is coming from the same bank, kind of thing. I still give my vote to Microsoft this year, or Xbox as a whole, because that's their gaming division. Period.
Yeah. Well, Big Mad Mo in the chat says they're all Microsoft gaming. And again, I look, I understand that on paper, Activision is Activision, Bethesda is Bethesda. That's why we've seen such incredible marketing, because their marketing is much different. Like all of the PR conversations that I personally had from inception of Indiana Jones to the Hands Off, all the way through the collector's edition, that's been Bethesda. But that's Bethesda's PR, has nothing to do with Jeff and Xbox, who I deal with on I talk to Jeff on a regular basis. And Activision, I don't have any connections with them yet. I'm hoping that changes now, that one hand talks to the other, and I can get invited to stuff with Activision as well. Hopefully that's the case. But yeah, each one, even though they have their own publishing arm and they have their own PR people and their own marketing and stuff, it's still the check, like you said, is being written by Microsoft. Microsoft is the owner and operator of these companies. And I think that, again, look, I'm not trying to steal any titles from anybody. I think that ultimately Sega, who I want to see win so badly, as an OG Sega guy, like I'm going way back in the days. I supported Sega, and it's been my favorite brand. Like Dreamcast to me, folks, is the GOAT of gaming. I think that it is probably the best console ever released. And what runs parallel to it, I mean, neck and neck, would be the 360. I think that the 360 is just an amazing platform. But for me, which I have multiple Dreamcasts, I have over 100 games. Most of them are import. They're all at SNK. They're all Capcom. I got some real rare ones in there too. And it's always my favorite console. But this would be a giant W for Sega, especially if next year they launch all of these remakes, these re-envisions of Streets of Rage and Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. It is going to be a Segathon 2025, and I'm here for it. But I really would love to see. I think it kind of be the comeback kid of gaming. Like everyone, no matter what Xbox does, you folks, listen. You see it. You see the people out there. No matter what Xbox does, Fuzzy Belvedere, it's not good enough. Again, shout out to Oh No, It's Alex, who did an amazing video, and I love Alex's stuff. He is funny. He is entertaining. Shout out to him. He just crossed 76,000 subscribers. That's a really big deal. And he just did a video about, well, some of the PlayStation haters still not giving credit to Xbox. And he does point it out. Again, he names the names. We don't do that here. That's his shtick, not mine. But look, at the end of the day, as an Xbox fan, you got to be excited. Like you got to be in the chat right now, and you got to be talking about, wow. I mean, we and I gotta say we. I'm not that I work for Xbox, but we as consumers, we really won this year with Xbox. I mean, again, maybe not every game is for you, and some of the releases are not. Like I was gifted by Jeff Rubenstein an Xbox Flight Simulator. I installed it. I have yet to play it. They're like, yeah, we're not looking for a review. Just enjoy the game. Boom. And I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that at all. So that was and they gave me the big edition, which is bonkers. I have just not enough time. But as consumers, you can't argue, Fuzzy Belvedere, that we won. And next year, and I just want to spend a few more minutes talking about 2025, because I don't think we're actually, like, we'll say it, but when you see it, like when I see someone like Jamie Moran, which, by the way, hopefully he's better and he'll be back with us tomorrow, does his posts, and he does a lot of posts on Twitter. And of course, the Arkham Asylum escapees, they come for him. I don't understand why, because he's talking positive, but they come for him. And they, folks like him detail, like a Clobriel, right? Like a Hazardor Gaming, puts out there, hey, this is what's coming in for Xbox in 2025. And you see that list, and you're like, for real? And there's stuff on there. Like, look, I really think, and again, I've said this before, I really believe an Exiles game is coming out next year. No one's going to tell me otherwise, because they have been talking about it since last year. And every other week, it's some sort of crazy skit that they're doing with, talking about, okay, so the marketing, let's get it started. And they're doing all kind of wacky Taco Tuesday things. Come on, man. The game has got to be close, right? Listen, let's talk about 2025. Listen, 2024 is almost behind us. We have another 20-something days before the end of the year. 2025 is going to open up. I feel that the Game Awards is going to close out Xbox in the biggest way. And again, this did you see what Jez Corden said? We're going to talk about it tomorrow. We're going to get more specific, but he literally said in the tweet, Jeff Keighley cooked. That was his exact words. And you know who followed up the tweet? Paris Lilly. Everybody knows who Paris is. And all he did was what was his name? Triple H going like this. Because so listen, Paris knows his stuff, right? So I think the Game Awards is going to levy some big Xbox news. And again, folks, if I'm wrong about that handheld Friday morning with Fuzzy Belvedere and the rest of the crew, I'm going to come out and say, folks, I was wrong. There was no handheld. But I still think I'm right. I don't care what anybody says. Fuzzy, let's talk about 2025.
Man, all right. So we're going to start the year off with Avowed. That's already a drawn conclusion. And I think there might be another surprise mixed in there. I don't know if Replace winds up being early 2025 or not, but Replace was one of those indie titles that kind of wowed a lot of people, and we've been patiently waiting for it. And they want to make sure this game is quality and polished by the time it's released. So that's going to be in the Game Pass service and like an Xbox exclusive, early into next year, I believe. We know Fable, and I've been thinking Fable's been a 2025 title, with Forza Horizon 6 being 26, but that's a whole nother story. But 2025, I think, is Fable's time to shine. And each of the trailers we've seen has wowed us as far as how detailed they've been in racing games to now take that into an RPG. I think that's going to be a pleasant surprise as well. We're going to start off with 2 RPGs in the year. I don't know exactly where Fable falls. Originally, I thought it may fall during fall, but I think we're going to see some more surprises during the Xbox showcase this next June that will kind of tell us or fill us in on what the remainder of 2025 is going to be like. But we got South of Midnight, which has been showing fantastic. Love the traversal, love the background and the story and the environment that they're bringing us with that. And the fact that they actually went on location in some cases for some of the atmosphere and some of the lore for what they're working on. So I'm anxiously looking forward to that. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, Doom Dark Ages, which, yes, multi-plat, but it's going to be in Game Pass. And it's another one from Bethesda. As far as with Bethesda has been pretty consistent year after year delivering stuff. So it's, and some of it, yes, I know they delivered on the other platform, whatever. It's still games that they are delivering. And that goes to show how valuable that purchase was for Xbox as a whole, bringing them into the family. So we got, Doom, we got Avowed, we got South of Midnight and Fable. Those I would say are the guarantees. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I agree with you, Boom. I think Clockwork Revolution is one of those titles. Now, where does it fall? I don't even know. I have a feeling that might be the one to end the year. Kind of like where Indiana Jones is now, I think Clockwork winds up being that. You gotta love a like steampunk time traveling game where your decisions actually matter and affect the world that you're going to be envisioning. So if you do something stupid in the past and you come back and robots are out to kill you, yeah, you're going to have to go back and fix what you did, type of thing. I can't wait to give that one a try. So Clockwork Revolution being in there, I can't wait. I don't know what else we're going to get, but there's so many other games. Like, we haven't heard from Contraband in a while, but I know that can't be that far off. Like, that's one of those games where, yes, they showed us a CGI concept art thing. I think we get Contraband before we get State of Decay 3. I'm looking forward to State of Decay 3. State of Decay 2 was my biggest played game for 2024 with like 240 plus hours in there.
Really?
But, well, I put it on hold when I got it at launch because of a little bit of bugs. Right. And then so many games came in between that. And then I was like, oh, they're wrapping up support. Let me fall back into it. And I'm still drawn to that game because if you love The Walking Dead and you want to create your own Walking Dead simulator, that is the best game to do it. Like, you create your own village, you recruit people, you can level them up with different skills and abilities and basically live out your Walking Dead dream in a video game. That is the best zombie type of game for me as of yet. I love Dead Island 2 and I love Dying Light 1 more so than 2, but yeah, something about State of Decay. And I think that's a 2026. So whenever the next generation consoles potentially popping its head up, I think that's one of the launch titles. It'll be a cross-platform because we'll still get to play it on our series consoles if we don't get the next gen right away. But that's soon, but not 2025. But man, I think 2025 we stand to see 7 first-party games. We know of at least 4 without a shadow of a doubt guarantee, and I have to believe that there's probably another 3 that they're either saving or mixing in there, or maybe they mix in Kojima's game OD into 2025. Because as much as people tell me, oh, Death Stranding 2 is going to be his next release, remember that game OD was worked on back when Stadia was even just a twinkle in Google's eye kind of thing. So it's been in development for a bit. It's probably had some highs and lows as far as the development because of the whole thing with Stadia. But once it's been in Xbox's hands, and the fact that he's probably going to do episodic with different directors and stuff, I'm hoping that makes an appearance in 2025, because that would be a nice way to have like a horror genre tied to Xbox with the legacy of Kojima attached to it. I think that'll be a awesome way to kind of either finish off 2025 or, load that up, towards the end, like maybe around Halloween time. Not that it needs to be, but I think that would be an awesome way to kind of celebrate that time of year type of thing. But man, I'm curious to see what we see at the Game Awards, because I know that they got something cooking, whether it's a device, whether it's something upgrading on the play anywhere aspects of things. Mm-hmm. I think that's coming as well. Fingers crossed for console games being able to be played off console. I know people are probably like, why would you want to do that? But like, if you have one of those handhelds, like if the handheld isn't right away and you have a Steam Deck or ROG Ally, that would be the way to get access to games that you've already purchased and own without having to repurchase them through Steam and other places. So fingers crossed on that. But man, 2025, like 2023 was a good year for me. And hands down, I agree with you. Starfield was that game of the year for me. It was my most played game in 2023. I had 5 playthroughs.
Wow.
I had like 14 days or something ridiculous with it. I still play that game. I don't play it as much right now because of Indiana Jones and Stalker 2, but 2024, I mean, great year. A little bit of a lull in the beginning of the year, but there were other games because I had Dragon's Dogma for the beginning of the year, so it was perfectly spaced out for me. Mm-hmm. But they've finished really, really strong, and they're going to start really, really strong with Avowed next year. So